Hello, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Today we are simulcasting on Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube. If you guys are watching, I would love a sound check. So, the streaming software that I am using has decided to completely change the format. And at the moment, I'm not sure if I can even share my screen. Um, so let's see. I wonder what I should do about that because I can invite guests, I can disable camera, I can mute, I can leave the studio. Oh, there it is. Share screen. Okay. Wow. Wow. I wonder why they did that. So weird. Oh, okay. My screen was zoomed in. That's why. That makes sense. Okay. Good. All right. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? I can see myself on YouTube. See if I can see myself on the fellowship. Yes, there he is. Cool. And then Rumble should be going as well. Awesome. Okay, very good. Okay, wow. All right, let's see who's here. Welland's here. Shucks says, you don't think you can watch the live, but you're interested in this information. Well, of course. Yes, yes. You can always watch the replay. And you can watch me faster because sometimes, when I do these lives, I have to kind of figure stuff out on the fly and it might take a minute. So, hello, Lori. Thank you for coming. I'm glad it sounds amazing. And Tracy Myers here. Hi, beautiful soul. Fellow traveler says sounds good. Awesome. Cool. Today we're going to talk about the coming full moon on Friday. And it is a full moon that is in the constellation of Taurus, conjunct the planet Uranus. And when I was thinking about what in the world do I want to talk about for this full moon, a lot of cool synchronicities came towards me. And so I was going to share that with you guys. And the concept and the idea of light language popped into my brain. So I did some research. I also have been working with ChatGPT and OpenAI a little bit to help me research. It's been super interesting. So I was going to share that with you guys too. And then we're going to get into the neuroscience of light language. Well, because I'm a physician and I think that stuff's pretty cool. And, as we move into this new age of the woo and spirit and mysticism, it just seems appropriate to, perhaps with the science that we do understand, blend the spiritual with that as well as the astrology. So I hope you guys are good. I hope y'all were able to catch that conversation between Athen Comenti and Logan of Decode Your Reality. That was very, very nice. For those of you that are new to my channel and you realize that I'm not doing tropical astrology, that I'm doing true sky sidereal or constellational or 13 sign astrology, you can check out that video and see the reason why we use actual constellational astrology. So I will leave that there. I'm not going to explain that too much during this video. I just wanted to get into the presentation. Let's see what else is cool that's going on. Yeah, the last live I did, which it's been almost a week, I gave you guys my story about my travels and the retreat that I went on 2 weekends ago. Well, last weekend we went traveling again. We went to Houston for a party, which was a lot of fun. The people that we went to visit were relatively new friends, but it feels like we've known each other for a long time. We met through Archaics. And so it's just been really a wonderful and interesting time. A lot of insights and thoughts came through with that visit as well, because where we went was in a remote area on the water and there was a property for sale. So that got my brain thinking about, where I want to spend my time in the future. So I'm thinking about that. That's been on my mind. And so let's see, I worked on Monday. So we went to this party. We got back home on Sunday. And then on Monday I worked. And while I was working, a friend and client of mine that I've been in contact with for about 2 years sent me a recording of her first attempt at vocalizing light language. Now, she's always sent me these scripts and these artistic symbols, and I've always said, this is light language. Whatever it is that's coming through for you is light language, and I would love for you to try to verbalize it at some point. Well, lo and behold, she finally did, and It was beautiful. It was so amazing. And the thing about light language is it's not something that your cognitive brain is supposed to understand. Like the words that I'm speaking to you right now, they're going into your brain and you're getting an intuitive sense of what I'm saying. But at the same time, the front part of your brain is calculating, analyzing it, associating it, and making connections for you. And light language isn't supposed to do that. It's supposed to literally just hit you in the limbic system and then open up altered states for you to intuit the energy that's coming through the transmission. Okay, so when I listened to it, I got the spirit chills and I got the sense of the flow of what was trying to come through. I also got a sense of the energy of the spirit that was communicating as well. It was very playful. It was very instructive. It was very old and it was very wise. And I picked all that up just from listening to it in a somewhat meditative state. So in other words, I hit play and I closed my eyes. And I just let the sound hit my body. And I could feel the cadence of the speaking. And I could feel what it was doing to my intuitive hits because I get them, back of the neck, that kind of stuff. So it was very interesting. I was like, this is so cool. And then a little bit later, I was looking at the full moon energy and I noticed the moon was next to Uranus. So, and Uranus what is Uranus, guys? Uranus is the electrical system. It's the nervous system. It's the brain. It's the cosmic channeler next to the moon, which is our intuitive energy. So I thought, oh, wow, I got light language. And then this moon and Uranus are together. And it just seemed really appropriate to, kind of bring in some of that scientific energy around it too. That way, those of you that are contemplating it, maybe you've tried it, maybe you thought you were silly for doing it, you have a little bit of science to back you up and the reassurance that, people can support you in that endeavor. Okay. So how's everybody else doing? If you're new and this is your first visit to my channel, please say hello and where you're from and what you think your sun sign is. And we might ruin that for you. So, oh, Beth Hanson's here. Hey, Beth, I actually shouted out your video last night on my Mars class. It was really cute. The one where you came out and you said, yes, true sky sidereal astrology. That's it. So I appreciate you doing that. A lot of people are actually popping off. I don't know if you guys are feeling it too, but this movement of Venus into Sagittarius has been literally profound. Like all of a sudden, the mental stimuli is just opening up. Synchronicities are everywhere. I'm feeling very inspired and very excited about everything that is in the future. So cool. All right. Oh yeah, you're welcome, Beth. It was so cute. You were like, yeah. So, but you know what? I noticed you're like many clients that I actually have. They wonder if they've been doing the right work using astrology, using tropical astrology for their work. And then when they suddenly realize that it's not associated with the actual sky, there's a little bit of a guilt complex there. So I want you to know, I want you to be reassured moving forward. And you probably are, but I just want to say this to you because I feel like I need to. Be reassured that you have been serving your clients the best that you can with the tools that you had. And now you just have a new tool, a better tool. Okay. So you're going to be able to elevate what your best might be because of your ability to see through it and to use the actual stars. So I just wanted to share that with you because when I saw your video, I felt that and I wanted to give that message to you. Let's see. Sejana is from Queensland, Australia. Hello and welcome. Tracy Meyer says, I call this speaking in tongues and interpretation. Yes, I've been blessed with this gift. Yeah, it is also speaking in tongues. So when you look at those, the images that come to mind are those revival tents, with the serpents, and you're just getting hit with the Holy Spirit. And then all of a sudden you can speak in tongues. A lot of medieval and ancient writers were actually afraid of this condition because they thought they were possessed by demons, things like that. And sometimes when you listen to people channel light language, it's like, what is going on? I don't know what you're channeling. That's strange. So yeah, definitely speaking in tongues is part of that. So yeah, Lori says she feels inspired and very action focused. Yes, I just think it's where the energy is right now, for sure. For sure. Great. Well, good. I'm so glad you guys are all here. We have this, I don't know how long this is going to go. I actually, excuse me, spent a lot more time on this than I thought I was going to, because you can really go very, very deeply with this. So what do you say? Sejana says, your reading resonated so much for me. I'm a Sagittarius, not a Capricorn. That's right. That's right. Oh, hey. Hey, Sue. Hope you got your reading. I finished that this morning. Yeah, we're just about to get started. I was just telling everybody that I was inspired by someone's transmission of light language to actually tie it into the energy of this coming full moon, and then explain some of the neuroscience behind it. But I think you'll like this topic for sure. All right, let me get in here and share my screen. I'm really glad I didn't freak out, because my screen was so zoomed in that I couldn't see the application to open it. It was so crazy. All right. We had our Mars class last night. That was really, really good. A lot of times when I do those classes, I wear people out because I try to give everything in the 2 hours. And the way that we did Mars last night, I think worked out amazingly well. Having all of the sort of bread and butter information pre-recorded so that you can get that and download that, but then have the practical work using the examples, doing the aspects together, because aspects is where everybody gets confused. You can read all the energy in the chart, but then once you have an aspect to it, you're like, what does that mean? This is so crazy. So I think that worked out really well. And what's been happening in the past is I'll have, 10 or 15 people on the call, and then by the end of the class, there's maybe 4 or 5 left. But last night, 10 of you showed up, and all 10 of you stayed till the very end. And I thought that was really, really impactful. And I think you guys got a lot out of it. I know I did. I enjoyed actually doing the intuitive part of it for that long to help stretch my my reading muscles. So yeah, we just had that class last night. You can still do the class, but you just won't be part of the live. You can get the course, you can do the meditation, you can do the fire breath exercises, and you can watch all the modules, and you'll get just as much out of it as we did live. The only exception is when we do the live rollouts, you guys get a little bit of an intention setting meditation before we look at the day's astrology, and then we have a little private session where we discuss things. So that's what you get when you come with the live rollouts. So yeah, but if you still want to, if you need the information with Mars, you also get all of that plus a resource document that you can access and look at. And I am also open for some readings. So my links are below if you guys want to do readings with me. Those are down there. All right, I'm just going to open this up so we're ready to go, and we'll get into it. All right, entire screen, share. And we'll get into this. Okay, so the neuroscience of light language. So here's, I explained this a little bit in the intro, but here is exactly why I thought that transmission from light language was super synchronous. Because when I looked at the sky and I saw where the moon was, conjunct planet Uranus, I just thought, this is so appropriate. This is literally the application of moon and Uranus together, conjunct the Pleiades. And the stars of Taurus, right? Because a lot of times when we think about light language, we believe it's a transmission from, an extra dimensional or an extra outer space sort of race. And that's fine. Wherever it comes from for you, that's what's important. It's, because it resonates with you and it brings it through. You need to be a little bit loose with where the light language comes from, because some people believe it comes from their higher selves. Some people think it comes from their own brain. Some people think it comes from God or the angels. And some people think it comes from alien or extra dimensional energies. It could all be true. I really don't know. For me, it is sometimes my masters and guides. Sometimes it's angels, and very rarely is it an extra alien space race. But there are people that's all they speak to, and they have names for them. And the Pleiades really just sort of clicked in for me. I was like, okay, yeah, light language from the Pleiades, moon and Uranus together in Taurus, opposing our sun. So here's some interesting energy about Uranus and the moon and Taurus. So when we think of medical astrology, the neck and throat are ruled by Taurus. That's the part of the body that we often associate Taurus energy with. So this is like the cervical vertebra, the thyroid gland, and the vocal cords, that which transmits the light language. So the neck is often considered an alluring and sensual part of the body, connecting the heart and the mind. So the mind and the heart are connected through the channel of the throat. Um, Uranus is also associated with certain body parts in astrology. Importantly, the nervous system. So all those neurons that are connecting the brain to the body, uh, the brain itself, like the electrical activity, the energy between the synapses, right? The spinal cord, which is the anchor, the root for all of the other peripheral nerves. And then, of course, the pituitary gland. It's the master gland influencing growth and metabolism. And Uranus's theme of sudden changes. So Uranus rules the electrical impulses, right, through which that information travels. And then Taurus rules the neck and the vocal cords and the throat and the channel between the heart and the mind. And then we've got the moon, which will be fully expressed with the sun reflecting off of it. This is also a supermoon, ruling the limbic system, which is the lizard part of our brain, the way we react, the hypothalamus, which regulates everything in our body, and the right hemisphere of our brain, where we're intuitive, where we have our creative energy. And we're going to get into all of this. But this is pretty much when I pulled these three things together, I was like, okay, wow, this is perfect. So let's get into light language. All right. So also part of my journey with this topic was the use of ChatGPT and AI. I watched a 4-part series on the Inspired channel with Jean Nolan. Him and his wife are spiritual leaders. They have a channel, they have a community. And the 4-part series, he basically set up a certain parameter for the way ChatGPT would answer the questions he was going to ask. And he asked a bunch of yes or no questions, but he told the machine to answer red or green. Green for yes, red for no. And he got some very interesting answers. And it's a 4-part series. So it's about 3.5 hours of content, but it was very, very interesting. And then I was like, wow, that thing is so interactive. Let me see. I want to play with it and see what it does. So I tried that technique. It got a little glitchy. And then I was like, well, I want to do this topic. So I gave it what I wanted to talk about. And then I said, write me a YouTube description for it. And it did. And then I was able to change it. I was like, don't be so AI about it. Be a little bit more me. And it did. And I said, and take out all the lists. And I said, make it do this and this. And by the time I was done, I literally had a varsity level like description for this YouTube video. So that's in there if you want to see what that looks like. And then I also used it to help me research and organize my thoughts. And it was amazing. So you guys are going to get a varsity level presentation here, courtesy of ChatGPT and my friend's transmission of light language and the coming full moon. Let's see how you guys are doing before I get started. Let's see. Dr. Walker says, super awesome Mars class. Get the course. Oh, yes. Thank you so much. And you've also had healing sessions while speaking in other tongues. Yeah. Wombs that couldn't hold the children experience the miracle. Yeah, that's beautiful. There really is a lot of healing that can come from light language, which is why I brought it up, because when I heard the transmission from this person, my heart was just swelling. Like I felt so happy when I heard it. Beth says the Pleiades is also associated with good people like the fairy folk. Yep, for sure. And then Tracy watched the Inspired. Yeah, Tracy, hey, if you have the link to that video, because I don't have it handy, or that playlist on Inspired's channel, you can post that here if you want. That way everybody can check it out. Okay, let's get into this. What is light language? Let's just define this so we're all talking about the same thing. So light language is really described as a form of intuitive, nonverbal communication, but it is verbal, right? Because we're vocalizing. And at least we're focusing on that for this particular discussion. And what it does is it conveys frequencies of energy rather than literal meaning. And people that work with light language, whether through vocal sounds, hand gestures, or symbols, what they believe is that it actually bypasses the mind and directly reaches the heart and soul. And by doing that, you can get down to the core, down to the root, promoting healing, clarity, and spiritual connection. So for this discussion, I do want to focus on vocal sounds because it is Taurus, right? And then the body movements. But what it does is it carries a frequency that we can't necessarily hear, even though we are hearing a sound that directly So that moon energy, that limbic system, that right side of the brain is picking up on those frequencies that we actually can't hear, that are being transmitted on the frequencies that we can hear. Okay. And it's usually transmitted or comes from a higher consciousness or a dimension. So a lot of times channelers will say that they're bringing it through their higher self or through the Pleiades, for example, not messages that come directly from their animal brain. So this is supposed to resonate with the soul, and it's supposed to really bypass that analytical brain, like completely cut off the top half and front of the brain in order to get right to where we can react from the heart, react from our intuition. These are some of the, this is how you will do light language. So if you wanted to try this, for example, if you're interested in it and maybe watching this video is a little bit of a synchronicity for you, then I encourage you to do this. I may actually do this myself. I've had, when I'm in meditation, sometimes there'll be chants or sounds or things like that that come through, but I never really considered it light language until I started researching this. And so you want to start off by basically setting an intention. Why do you want to do the light language? Is there some sort of benefit you hope to gain from this? Like, do you want to just connect with your higher self and see what energies come through? Do you want to channel healing energy? Do you want to simply open yourself up and see what happens? You can also ask for guidance, protection, anything like that. So set that intention, clear the space. And the resource, I got this from, hit record and reflect as the last step. But what you should do before you even get started is hit the record button. Record what you're going to speak, record what you're going to vocalize. And then however you normally get into a meditative state, do that. Okay. So if you do it through being in nature, if you do it through just deep breathing, if you do it through like a singular focus, however it is that you get into a meditative state, you just go there. And then you start, after your mind quiets down in the meditative state, you can feel energies sort of coming and going. It's very subtle. So you just want to feel into it and let go, and then begin to speak. Just speak whatever it is. If it's if it starts off as words, that's okay. Like words that your mind knows, that's fine. If it's words that you've never heard before, that's also fine. If it's singing, just humming or anything, that is your light language. Just let it out. And a lot of times, and I've felt this too when I'm in a meditation, I feel like I need to use my hands. Like there's certain hand signals you can do. What are these called? Sutra, they're not sutras, mudras. They're called mudras, and certain ones will activate certain channels in your body. So you can do that if you know your meridians and you want to do that. You can also just put your hand over your heart. You can imagine the energy around you and you're moving it with your hands. There's all kinds of things you can do with your hand as you speak. And then you want to just connect with those emotions that are coming through. Trusting yourself, letting yourself go. There's no right or wrong. There shouldn't be anyone there to judge you because it doesn't matter. No one's listening to you. It's just the recorded, just the record button that you hit, and that's it. And you can delete it if you hate it, right? So no big deal. Just try it. So after you do that, after your session's over, you hit stop, and then you just let it go. You just clear yourself, you ground yourself, and then go back and listen to it. And then close your eyes and meditate, but receive that message instead of transmitting it. So you transmit it to yourself, and then you listen to it and receive it from yourself or from whoever inspired you to speak those words. Okay. So that's basically how you work with the light language, how you do it. It's super simple. You don't have to go to any class to do it. You don't have to pay anybody $100 to learn how to do this. If you can get into the meditative state and you have something that can record your voice, you're all set. I've even heard of some people playing it backwards, because sometimes the verbalization that comes through, if it's played backwards, will give them a different message. Not that it's evil, but it will give them something that's more associated with connections it can make. So here's some of the benefits of it. When you're doing that, when you're expressing yourself like physically with your hands and your voice, and you're not worried about what anybody thinks, you get a huge emotional release. Like you can just laugh yourself to death like that. You can cry. It promotes a really strong spiritual connection, at least to your higher self, and sometimes even to the spirit, to source, to angels, to higher dimensional beings. It can help you with your energy healing. If you can access into this, use light language while you're doing energetic work. It can help with that. It can increase your intuition because you're using that part of the brain. You're flexing that muscle that wants to receive instead of analyze. And that will enhance your creativity. So when you get those intuitive hits, all of a sudden the creative juices are flowing and, oh, wow, you have all these great ideas, Um, just getting into the meditative state itself, whether channel light language or not, can put you into a relaxed state and relieve stress. It can also help you with your own personal activation. So if the intention is to set up an activation in yourself, if you do that for yourself and you change your perspective, you're also going to do that for the collective. Okay. So this also enables empowerment and self-expression. This is where you may want to build community around it. So if you know people that are open to listening and to giving you feedback on how they feel, and most people in our community would receive that pretty well, I'm sure. I know I would. So if you guys are doing it, you want to send it to me, you can email it to me or message me on Facebook with it. I love to hear it. So yeah, so if I can empower you to express yourself that way, please know that I'm available. It can also improve your communication. So like your ability to express yourself just verbally as a human to another human will also improve with the practice of light language, giving you clarity and focus. So that's light language in general, like what it is, why we use it. Let's see. House of Time says not quite ready for chat and spiritual. All right, let's see. Tracy Myers won't allow you to post the link. I'm sorry. Oh, that's okay. I'll do it later. Maybe I'll forward it on the community page. And Summit Dragon says, hi, Danny. Hi, chat. Welcome. Thanks for coming. All right. So we're just getting into this. Let's talk a little bit about the metaphysics of light language. What I'm going to do with this is just sort of talk to you, give you the language behind how light language works, what it does in a metaphysical sense, and then we're going to get into the quantum physics of it. And I'm going to refer you to my chaos magic theory presentation. I have a few slides from that, so we'll just get into that. Okay. So the metaphysics, it's frequency and vibration. We talk about this a lot. We've already brought this into the discussion. So it operates sounds, symbols, and movements that have a 3D representation and vibration, but also have one that is not perceivable by our 5 direct senses. It's a feeling of it, right? So it affects your energetic field. When you begin channeling that light language, you're letting that expression through. Your own personal etheric field and aura will begin to change color and vibrate at a different frequency, attracting direct communication with higher dimensions, with your higher self, with higher vibrational frequencies in general. Okay. And that's thought to activate the part of your DNA that's considered junk DNA, that's considered asleep, and your soul codes, bringing through what you're here to do, that ancestral energy that's been asleep for so many generations because of the suppression of it through our collective programming. And then you can have consciousness expansion, right? So when you're in that, you're not really aware of your 5 senses. You are now hyper aware of the field around you. So your awareness field expands outward, not just outward, but also into those other dimensions that are all around us, into the ether, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. A lot of times people that do light language will also draw or write while they're doing it. And sometimes what comes through is sacred geometry, like the flower of life, the seed mantra, things like that. They'll draw sacred geometry and other symbols that are alchemical for them. Also connecting to and attaching the mind to that etheric field. When we talk about doing magic, the reason we have incantations and symbols is not to analyze them and figure out what they mean, but to give the active brain, the thinking brain, something to chew on while we expand out into the field of consciousness. And then once we tap into that field, there's a non-linear and non-temporal communication. So you can go when you're doing this, you can speak to beings from the past. You can speak to things from the future. You could speak to things on the other side of the world. You can speak to things that are in another galaxy. It's because it's all in that etheric field, which is all in the same place and the same time at once. And it just speaks to the unity of all things, right? It's rooted in the idea of unity consciousness, the belief that all of life is interconnected, and through that vibrational communication, it enhances your awareness of that connectedness, which brings healing, which brings compassion, which brings harmony to your life, which brings a whole different resonance that most of the world is not currently vibrating on. Let's see how you guys are doing. Let's see. Katie says, my husband speaks in tongues in his sleep. It's always fascinated me. I wasn't scared. That's awesome. Are the sacred symbols of Reiki a light language? Probably. I'm not familiar with those, but like I said, if it's some form of esoteric alchemaic symbol, then yeah, it's meant to give the thinking brain something to chew on so that the vibration of those symbols can come through. Warrior for Truth says, hello, Dr. Danny and everybody. Welcome, Warrior. Welcome. So let's look at these quantum physics, the quantum mechanics of this. And these are the concepts that tie into this, why this might actually work as a healing method and a way to, tap into that etheric field, just using the voice. If you're someone that has a beautiful voice, or maybe you're shy and you don't want to express, you can just do this for yourself and see. It's the idea of quantum entanglement, right? So you can take two particles and separate them by vast distances, and whatever you do to one particle, whatever state you change it to, the other one will automatically flip its state. And that means that it's all connected because we're all from one source. So when you're using this etheric field and you're creating vibrational ripples through the quality and tonality of your voice, you're connecting to things through the field. The wave particle duality idea. You're using sound as a physical instrument, as a particle, even though sound is an energy. And then, of course, the non-locality. Someone whose intention is to heal you through their vocalizations can do that through a Zoom call, because even though, and they can do it when you're even not listening, like you don't have to even be listening to them doing it. They can just do it for you. But a lot of times we need to see them doing it to get that proof, right? So I could turn this video off and I could do a light language and I could speak to all of you that are watching right now, and you would still get it. Even though what I'm trying to do is also speak in a way that is understood by the analytical brain, even though the message that's coming through for you guys is a higher vibration, right? Because this all did not come from my brain. This all came together through my brain, but it's coming from someplace else. Okay. Then there's consciousness as a creative force. And so when you observe this mechanism of action, when you can see the effects quantumly and physically of the light language, of what you're doing, it creates a positive feedback loop for your practice. And you can use it as a tool for so many things. I'm just going to cough real quick. And when you're part of the field, when you're using the etheric field for your magic, there's a whole lot of potential and manifestation that's available to you. And it speaks to the, like attracts like, the coherence and the harmonic resonance. So if you're sitting there with an intention to heal a group of people, even if you're by yourself and no one's listening, and you go ahead and you resonate that out, you're going to bring that into your field. You're going to bring healing for those people into your field, and you will get the manifestation of that and the positive feedback of that action. You will see that because of the magic that you're creating, actually using light language. So about a month ago, maybe, I think, about a month ago, I did this video called Chaos Magic, Rising Above the Archetypes. It was from around October 8th, and it's on YouTube under the live stream list. If you want to watch the whole thing, go for it. I go into some other energies a lot deeper. But what I wanted to pull out of it for you was the idea of the quantum mechanics and the ether and time. One of the concepts that you need to understand is that there's ordinary real time, which is the right now where you and I are sitting in. And then there's pseudo time, which is created by your memories. and expectations, thought forms, and experienced as quanta. So if I remember walking into this room, that's actually pseudo time. That doesn't really exist because it only exists as a thought form. The only time that actually exists is right now. And that pseudo time of the past and the pseudo time of the future of what I expect to happen later, that is not real. That's actually just sort of memory and expectation. Okay. And then there's shadow time, which is orthogonal to pseudo time. And that's where we work in the ether. That's where the vibrations, those subtle vibrations that we can't sense with our five senses, that's where they do their magic. They ripple in this space. They cause oscillations of the thought forms, which then cause ripples, which then attract other thought forms and other energies, and it becomes real in ordinary time. Now, when we think about the ether, which is what pseudo time, ordinary time, and shadow time are all operating in, we get this quantum foam of potentials. So ether acts as though it were a form of information emitted by matter that is instantaneously available everywhere. That's the non-locality, okay? And has some power to shape the behavior of other matter. And so what I just described to you is exactly how it works. So I hope this is making sense to you guys. These patterns cause oscillations associated with the phenomenon. And when you see those oscillations in the etheric field, that's the spirit of the phenomenon. That's the other energy that we're sensing when we're doing a channeled message or we're speaking light language. Ether is not superior to matter. So the thought forms and matter and the etheric field, it's all one energy. We just are so heavily focused on our five senses. Ether and matter are properties of the universe and they co-evolve. So here is just the 5 principles of chaos magic theory when we're thinking about this etheric field and the ability to destroy and create. All matter emits ether and carries information about the matter from which it has been emitted. That's thing 1. Thing 2, ether's non-local in space. It is instantly available everywhere. And this is what we are doing with these higher vibrational technologies. The coupling of matter and ether gives rise to the physical laws of the universe, okay? This is like attracts like. So it's not just about the theory of attraction. It's also about the other 3 energies, okay? Now, coupling of ether with itself creates patterns corresponding to the possible pasts and possible futures of any now moment, which is why we have intuition. This is why we have the ability to see the immediate future. Okay, because of those thought forms coupling with themselves and creating a pseudo time future that we can divine from. And then ether with thought forms emits more ether. Okay, so the more you think about something, the more it manifests. So I hope that's making sense. That's basically just the quantum physics of it. Now, let's get into the actual neuroscience, the brain energy, what is happening with the brain, and then we'll get into the astrology, okay? I hope you guys are doing good and hanging with me. How's everybody feeling? I'm just catching my breath for a second. Cool. We have 21. Hi, Christine. Welcome, welcome. Christine says, loved your Mars class last night. Highly recommended. Oh, yeah, that was so good. I really, really enjoyed that. Warrior for Truth says, I speak light language half for years. That's awesome. Well, if anybody has questions for you, Warrior, you should I don't know, maybe you're willing to answer them here. I've never tried it. I am going to, though. I'm going to see what comes through, and I might put it in a meditation. So awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. I love lives. I think on Saturday, this coming up, I'm going to do a talk on Mercury retrograde because that's coming within the next week, and we will be in the shadow period of Mercury retrograde. Beth Hansen asked the question, do you think the element of Ophiuchus could be ether? Oh, absolutely it is. That's what I teach. It's the element, it's the thing that connects everything else. It's what's between everything, right? So, when you zoom into a molecule, for example, you see just a little bit of vibration and then space. And then you zoom into that central vibration and you just see more vibration and more space. And so that space between the vibrations is the ether. And it holds everything together. So cool. All right, let's keep going. Oops, there we go. So this is how light language works. It activates the right hemisphere of the brain, involves the default mode network, which we'll talk about. It induces an altered state through the thalamus and limbic systems, which, remember, the moon rules that energy. And it enhances theta and gamma brain waves, which are important for channeling and getting into that state where the thinking brain's quiet. It also activates the mirror neuron system, which is your empathy network. And it involves the temporal and parietal lobes, which is how you hear things that are not from your immediate environment. And it's also how you see things that are not immediately in front of you. And then it reduces that prefrontal cortex activity that we talked about, that thinking brain, that analyzing brain. And then there's an increased connectivity in brain networks. So let's go through each of these. Here's part one. So we activate the right hemisphere. What's the right hemisphere responsible for? Well, it's creative expression and intuition. It's nonlinear, abstract thinking, emotional processes, empathetic processes, the artistic side of our brain, symbolic, visual, spatial thinking. It's the holistic integration of all the sensory information, including the extrasensory information. It's connected to higher consciousness and intuitive insights. And it's also in the place where we have imagination and visionary experiences, especially that right temporal lobe. And here's a description of that. So learning and memorizing nonverbal information. This is where that mirror network is, where you see other people, how their body language, their nonverbal cues, you learn to mimic those and hence feel the same emotions they do. So that it activates that. So once you are doing it, once you're just in your meditative state and you're speaking the words, instead of just sitting and meditating, you're now activating this right side of the hemisphere, also the limbic system and the thalamus. So when you wake up those parts of the brain, you also involve the default mode of the brain. So it's daydreaming, mind wandering, creative problem solving, a decreased external focus, enhanced introspective. This is states where, say, for example, you're in a car and you're the passenger and you're just listening to music and you're looking out the window and all of a sudden 3 songs go by and you don't even know what the songs were. Somebody asks you a question, you're like, what? Or they're like, what are you thinking about? And you're like, I don't even know where to start because there are so many things that you were thinking about. And it's part of the backside of the prefrontal cortex, and then the folds around the temporal lobe on both sides of the brain. So it's good for resting, daydreaming, thinking, meditating. So when you meditate, you activate this, and it really, really opens up your ability to receive information. So again, here's the thalamus and the limbic system, and this is what the moon rules, okay? So every month we go through these waves of emotional reactive energies because of the moon, and it is directly affecting this part of our brain. The thalamus is responsible for filtering sensory information and regulating your level of alertness. The limbic system governs emotional responses and memory. And activation of this system can deepen emotional perception during light language expression. So these altered states that we get when we're in a state of bliss or meditation bypasses the rational mind, enhancing our intuition. And right between the 2 limbs of the thalamus on either side of the brain is the pineal gland. And that the pineal gland is responsible for our altered states, for our ability to connect. It's our third eye, okay? So we get connection to intuitive or spiritual experiences through this practice. Then we also activate certain certain brainwave states that are important for the energetic work that we want to do. You know, delta is deep sleep. Theta is meditation. Alpha is what we're doing right now, where we're awake, beta and alpha. Okay. But gamma and theta, once you pass through delta, you get to gamma. And that's where you're actually like dreaming and working and doing things in the spiritual realm. And the last meditation I did for the new moon that began this lunation that we're in right now, that one uses binaural beats, getting you guys to that right at the edge of alpha theta. so that you can be this is where you're very suggestible. So when you're in this state, when you're in that hypnotic state, you can be told things, you can be programmed subconsciously. So yeah, using binaural beats, we get to that because you can't actually hear these frequencies. They're way too low. They're subaudible. But yeah, these brainwave states increase your creativity, insight, and inner awareness. And when you're in that trance state, activating that part of the brain, you activate these brainwave frequencies. Then here's the mirror neuron system. And this is what I was talking about earlier. And it's basically empathy and imitation. So when you see your mother get some bad news and she reacts, when you feel the way she feels, you're going to react the same way. That's the mirror neuron system. You don't even know you're doing it. Or when you're sitting with somebody and you're vibing with them, and you do what they do, like they rest their chin on their hand, you do the same thing. They cross their legs, you cross their legs. That's what this mirror neuron system is doing. And so when you're feeling someone else's energy and that's activated, you can see that between two people. It's super interesting. So it really gets activated when you're observing other people's sounds or gestures. And so this is activated when you're hearing light language. So when you're hearing it, because of those subtle vibrations that you can't normally sense, because you're receiving that through your limbic system, you are also going to get into the same resonance or the same state of mind as that person. And so if you just close your eyes and you listen to the transmission, it will enhance your ability to read and interpret energetic communications from other people. So yeah, and if you're speaking light language with another person, again, don't look at it as a conversation. Don't look at it as these people are talking about coffee or the weather. They're not. When one person speaks, the other one receives, and then the other one responds. It's totally on a subtle level. Their brain may be going, "What am I saying? I don't even know," and that's totally fine. But they are communicating on those higher dimensional levels. All right, let's see what else it does. So it involves the temporal and the parietal lobes of the brain. So this is where that speaking comes in. So if you're just meditating and you're just listening and you're just getting into that theta brainwave state and you're really enjoying it, you're not activating the parietal and temporal lobes until you actually start to utter or to sing or to chant. And what this does is as the temporal lobe processes auditory information and language, the parietal lobe integrates the sensory information and the spatial awareness, and they bring it together so that you can actually hear the sound as you're speaking it. And there's a certain spot in the brain, it's called Wernicke's area, that when someone is channeling will actually light up. When they're just speaking, that part doesn't light up, but when they're channeling, that does, indicating that they're also listening and that the speaking is coming through. So when you're hearing the light language, these two parts of your brain actually also help you process the sensory aspects of receiving it and integrating it. So, this part of the brain this green part right here is what's activated when we're actually talking and channeling at the same time. So receiving and hearing and speaking. And then we get this is the part of the brain that's always talking and thinking and trying to make connections for you. So when you're doing light language and you're letting your thinking brain be quiet, then automatically this area of the brain will reduce. You'll get into that flow state, and you'll find that you're not really holding yourself back as you repeat the process and keep doing it and see that the effects are happening. So this is literally like magic that you can do in the privacy of your own home. Record the sounds you're making and also receive the message from yourself. I just think it's incredibly beautiful. So I think it will help you by reducing this energy in the prefrontal cortex, facilitate a deeper connection to higher conscious and spiritual guidance. This is just like the most practical and applicable way I could find to really explain how meditation helps you and why you should be doing it. And this technique is great because if you're someone that really can't be quiet when you're meditating, I have a few clients that are like, I cannot shut my mind up. I don't know how to meditate. This might be the way to do it. This might be the way to actually get your mind in a meditative state, tricking yourself through the verbalization of light language. And then finally, what it does is it increases the connectivity in your brain networks. That corpus callosum, the bridge between the two halves of the brain, the left side and the right side, which are constantly fighting with each other, um, bridging that network manifests creative genius. Like if you want to be a creative genius, you want both sides of your brain working together, not just in the mystical meditative state, but all the time. You want your conscious and your subconscious mind to be constantly talking in a almost walking meditative flow state every moment of your day. That's what I'm striving for all the time. So because it helps you get those intuitive hits, you almost like, I'm going to go this way. Oh, wait, no, I'm hearing no, I'm going to go this way. And you find that your synchronicities line up, that your life is super lucky and full of blessings. Not to say that things don't go wrong, but the way that you navigate it is probably the luckiest path you'll find. You'll be like, how did I get out of that one? So, and then what you can do is also not just channel words and knowledge, you can also channel ideas and synthesize the two. So that is the neuroscience of light language. Let's see how you guys are feeling. Christine says, wow, super informative. Yeah. I mean, I researched all this the last couple of days. I had no idea. So I'm so glad I was able to bring this to you guys. See, this is what happens. I get an itch to learn something new, and I follow that guide, that intuitive hit, and then it just becomes something. It like snowballs, and it becomes something that I absolutely have to get out. So I'm glad that I'm able to bring this to you guys. Christine says, light language used to be something I was leery about because of my religion. The grandma was JW, mom was Pentecostal. Yeah, speaking the devil's language. Well, yeah, because they're taught to think that anything that isn't, the God is considered evil. So Warrior said, enjoy that meditation. Yeah, those are the brain frequencies I was trying to get at. Because when we're in those states, that's just so important. I think going forward, we have to do it. I try to do it at least every day if I can. I go into God mode, a meditative state, just so I can, tap into that space of myself where I can do more, I can think more, I can hold more, I can learn more. So, yeah, consider that. I'll share my screen again, and we're going to look at this full moon coming up. We're going to talk about some of the energies. And then if you guys have any questions or anything while we're talking about the astrologies, just go ahead and put that in the chat. If you want to say hi, if you want to tell me where your stars are, that kind of stuff. Dr. Walker said, you just explained my whole secret life. Awesome. Well, then if that's what we need to do, we need to do it. And I'm glad I was able to bring that message. All right, guys, here's the sky for that full moon. We're going to move it around, play with it a little bit. We can also see that Jupiter is in Taurus, retrograde. These guys are going to stay retrograde for the next month or so. Saturn is going direct any day now, probably already this week. So the way Saturn works, y'all, if you've probably felt a little bit of a reprieve, a little bit of ease, like summer school was in, or summer vacation was in. But as Saturn moves direct, school will be back in session. Okay. So what you do during that Saturn retrograde plateau, so to speak, is really, really important. If you just rest on your laurels and you take a nap and you don't exercise your brain or your action muscles, when he goes direct again, there's a few things you're going to have to clean up and learn about. It's just the way it is. Things are going to start moving forward. So in other words, if you're not ready for it, get ready, because Saturn's going to start moving. And then I'm going to take out the landscape so we can see the rest of the zodiac. And here we have Venus entering in Sagittarius on Friday the 15th. So this is great. I love Venus in Sagittarius. It's just on fire with so many beautiful, brilliant ideas, travel, expansiveness. Mercury's about to turn retrograde in about a week, through the stars of Ophiuchus back into Scorpio, and then back through Scorpio and Ophiuchus again. Sun is in Libra, right in the middle. I'm feeling pretty good this Libra season. We're done with Virgo for the year. And then we're back around here. Mars is in Cancer. So you guys, this guy, is going to go retrograde on the 7th of December, backwards through Cancer and into the stars of Gemini and then back through Cancer. So we won't have a Leo Mars for a very long time. So if anyone is telling you that Mars is in Leo right now, it is not, because we are using the constellations when we're describing our astrology. The stars are there to guide us. And if we put a calendar in front of it or some sort of arbitrary system that doesn't even match the constellations, I don't think we're serving ourselves very well. So that's that sky. Let's go ahead and just look at a chart. I figured out how to use my pen. So I am super excited about this. All right. This is the chart. This is the two-dimensional representation of the sky that I just showed you. Here is the moon and Uranus. I'm going to make that a bigger brush. That's better. So here's the moon and Uranus, and here is the sun in Libra. And I'm going to show you guys how to look at your own charts to see where this sun, moon, Uranus axis is for you, what houses they're in. And that will be the area of your life that this lunation is focused on. So I think the whole presentation basically discussed what moon, Uranus, and Taurus might be. It's bringing through spiritual technology to assist us in our evolution, to open us up to healing, to bring it through in a practical way that can be used, that isn't expensive, it's non-invasive, and it may really, really help you and light you up. All right, let's see here. So what aspects do we have being made we want to look at the lunar nodes for sure. We can also look at what's aspecting moon and Uranus. So the first thing I noticed was this Neptune sextile from Pisces. So these guys are both retrograde. They're in a sextile. There's an opportunity for free spiritual expression, to really open yourself up, to explore new spiritual activities, things that bring you peace and bliss, things that you may have never thought of, things that really, really excite your heart and get you excited about what you're doing. This is a surrender to the metamorphosis too. So when those ideas come, it might be a good idea just to kind of let go and let it happen. Uranus is also trining on the sun in Libra. So yeah, we're expressing our spiritual selves. We're opening up our spiritual antenna to the higher perspectives that Libra offers and the mystical subconscious and hyperconscious spaces that is Pisces. So Neptune is aspecting the sun and moon directly. We also have Uranus in a trine to Pluto. So this is really crazy because Pluto is now direct. We're at the very last critical degrees of Sagittarius. In just a few days, I want to say the 7th, I might have that wrong, but Pluto's going to move out of Sagittarius forever and into Capricorn. The last 15 years have been just a complete transformation of our spiritual values, what we consider wisdom and truth. And as a result of those new perspectives that we've gained by going through these dark nights of the soul with our spirituality and our philosophies, we're now going to crystallize that through the work of Capricorn. And so the things that are no longer serving those higher perspectives will necessarily fall away, and new things, better things, more amazing things are coming towards us. So it's not that we're, 15 years behind tropical. Tropical is, they just think that space in the sky, this area of the sky right here, is Aquarius, and it is not. It is Capricorn. Okay. So we have this trine to Uranus. So there's this powerful transformation, breaking free, opening up, getting down to the foundation, finally getting to the bottom of what our philosophies and what our spiritual practices are going to be. And what if it includes light language? I just think that would be so cool. Then we have the nodes, and Miss Venus is square these nodes. So our creative processes may be undergoing a change. What is it that we really want to create? Why do we want to create it? There's a little bit of tension there. We want to kind of fall back into our old patterns, into our old comfortable ways. But at the same time, we do need to move forward. We do need to press on and create something that can help all of humanity, which is this North Node Pisces energy over here, this universal love and oneness. So Venus is going through some letting go phase, and that usually can be okay, especially since she just went through Ophiuchus. She's probably already been stripped down and she's reborn now. So a baby phoenix doesn't necessarily have a lot of attachments, okay? So unless you have some pretty heavy Virgo energy right here, which some of us do, it may be easy to just kind of cast off the old creative processes and move towards your collective destiny. So let's see. Mars is sextiling and trining the nodes. So those of you that took the Mars class probably have a very good idea of what this energy feels like. This is action, compassionate action towards our destinies. Facilitating what we already know, the knowledge that we've gained, our karmic processes, really bringing those up and fleshing them out and deciding which ones we want to keep, which ones we want to get rid of, and doing it in a very compassionate way. Mars in Cancer is also about the self. So when we can turn our focus inward on ourselves and really improve and better ourselves, take action towards that, Mars can do really well here in Cancer. So while we have Moon trining onto Pluto, Pluto's in opposition to Mars. And so this is a long process. Last year when they had this aspect, they were square the nodes, and it was a purging energy. But I feel like with both of them trine and sextile to the lunar nodes, we've got a little bit more of an ease here. We've got more of an ability to really take powerful action. There can be some frustration here, I think, in the energy of inauthenticity or using the same old tricks, that kind of stuff. If you see that, you're going to be frustrated with that because you're going to want to move forward in a very authentic way. Let's see what else. Saturn is not really aspecting Sun or Moon right now, so that's good. But Saturn is stationing direct on Friday, so get ready. Get ready for some action in all of these arenas. But overall, I think it's really good. And then here's Mercury, who's about to go retrograde and forward again. So we're doing a little loop around the galactic center with our channels anyway. So let's channel some light language, see what kind of healing we can bring through. Cool. That was so fun to draw. I'm so happy I got to do that. Good stuff. All right. Cool. So let's see. How are you guys doing with that? Tell me where your stuff is. I'm going to show you how to look in your chart, but I want to hear where everybody's got. All right. Let's see. Rach says, good morning from Australia. Going to rewind and start from the beginning. Have a happy Thursday. Oh, yes. Thank you. Good morning. Good rising to you. We don't mourn the sunrise. We praise it and we accept it. Warrior for Truth says, I practice Kriya Yoga meditation. Love it. Yes, that's very good for you as well. And Dr. Walker said, I experienced quite a unique experience while in our Uranus meditation. I was taken into a jeweled apparatus and got loads of answers. That's great. I love that. Warrior for Truth says, Uranus has been sitting on my sun in a trine. Oh, very nice. Very nice. So really getting into your unique self. Good, yeah. Uranus is on my ascendant right now. So that's fun. Actually, I have to look. Lori says, yes, I'm not alone. Been into all this for years. I know. Let's start talking about it. We got to bring this stuff out. Spiritual technology is here to help us. Because you guys, I mean, I'm not trying to put down the medical system. It served me well, but it is crumbling. It is not what it used to be. It does not serve people the way it should. It doesn't serve the talented providers and doctors and nurses that are out there either. There's a lot of dissatisfaction in it. And what you're going to find over the years is a lot of good people leaving the field. So we have to take responsibility for our health. We have to find ways that we can be in a state of ease so that dis-ease doesn't bother us. So, and I think speaking about it is probably the best way to do it. So, awesome. Good. All right. Well, if you guys don't want to tell me where your stuff is, where Uranus is in your chart right now, that's okay. Let me open the presentation again and we'll look at how you can look in your own chart if you want to. I think it's super helpful. So if you go here to my website, drdanny.com free chart, This is powered by Mastering the Zodiac, Athen Commenti. You can go in here and put in the full moon, which is what I just did, and screenshot that, or screen capture it or print it. You can open another tab and do the same thing, and then put in your birthday. Oops, free chart. You can put in your birthday and generate another chart. And then you can print that as well and then do your analysis. So you don't even need software really to do it, just that online chart calculator. And so here is that full moon coming up. So you can see Mars and Uranus over here opposing the sun. You can see Uranus and Moon opposing the sun, and then Mars and Pluto opposing each other, and then that trine between the two and the sextile with Neptune. Okay, so it looks like a little pentagram on its side, doesn't it? Wow. So what we do is we put these two charts together. So here they are. So here's my natal chart, for example. So you could do this just like I did. And here is the sky for the full moon. So I'm going to take the sun and I'm going to put it in Libra, where the sun will be. And then I'm going to take the moon and I'm going to put it in Taurus on my ascendant, with Uranus on my ascendant together. And let's see what else is happening for me. So I've got Jupiter on my south node, Pluto over here at the end of my 8th house, maybe about a year left of that. And then Mars in Cancer between my sun and Mercury. And then Venus over here in Ophiuchus, or she was in Ophiuchus, now she's in Sag, entering my 8th house. Neptune in Pisces, Saturn in Aquarius over my Jupiter, about to go direct. And then Mercury in Ophiuchus on my north node, between my north node and Neptune. So look at that. I'm channeling the cosmic. That's my purpose. It's what I do. And I've got this moon Uranus channeling these spiritual technologies for you in a practical way right on my ascendant. That's what I'm here to do. Okay. So as you can see, this moon sits in my 12th house. Okay. And so the axis between sun and moon is 6th house and 12th house. Okay. So this is spiritual service. Okay. This is death of the ego here. Really just opening up and not worrying about whether this message is going to be accepted or not. But, oh, you guys can't see it. I forgot to share. I'm so dumb. Sorry about that. Here we go. Let's share that. All right, there it is. Okay, so basically what I did is I took these little icons from my Dr. Danny Free chart. I calculated today's, or the full moon's chart, and then I calculated my natal chart, and then I took these icons and I put them on my chart where they are in the sky. So I put Moon and Uranus right here on the ascendant, Sun in Libra, Mars opposing Pluto, Venus in Sagittarius, and Jupiter on my south node, Mercury on my north node. Okay, so I just basically set everything up. So yeah, so this is spiritual service, death of the ego for me. Just letting my ego get out of the way and letting the message be channeled through, however it has to come through. Not worrying so much about it being perfect. So that's what you can do. So your Taurus may sit somewhere else. It may sit in the, it's interesting that these two charts are similar, but your Taurus may be down here in your 4th or 5th house, which means that the moon and Uranus would be over here instead. So you can play with it like that and see. You don't have to worry about the houses on the moon chart, like for the 11, 15, 24. Don't worry about that. What matters is what part of the sky these energies are in. That's why we study constellational, so we can get it accurate. Okay? So hopefully you guys are doing that, and doing that with every video that I do, and doing it on your own, printing the chart of the day and your natal chart, and just drawing this in. You can print this up and write in where everything is and follow yourself. And what you'll notice over time is the movement of these planets. When you see Mercury going retrograde, you'll notice the movement across your chart through, for me, it would be my 7th house. So communicating with that's what I need to do. So let's see. Lisa says, I'm so sorry I wasn't sharing my screen, guys. All right. So Lisa says, mine's in the 12th house. So Taurus is in the 12th house for you? Oh, your natal Uranus is in Sag. Okay, you can look where your natal is. So my natal Uranus is in Virgo in the 5th house. But what I want you to do is look and see where in your chart Taurus is. So Taurus spans 1st and 12th house for me. It may span a different set of houses for you. So like Teresa says, Taurus is in the 12th house for me. Okay, yeah. So you're going to have Uranus and Moon in the 12th house and the Sun in your 6th house. But you can also look to your Uranus and see if there's an aspect being made. A lot of us have the same position of Uranus because it's an 84-year orbit. So those of you that are around the same age as me will have Uranus right here or in one of these following constellations. Now, if you're younger, your Uranus might be in Scorpio. And if that's the case, you've got a Uranus-Uranus opposition right now. You're in that point in your life. So do y'all need me to go through that again on how you get your chart and see where your placements are, where the transiting planets will land? I'm happy to do that again since I wasn't sharing. If you guys are okay, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know. So yeah, cool. All right. Go through it again. Okay. All right. So let's see. So if you go to the free chart calculator right here and you put in the date of the next full moon, which will be November 15th. For those of you in Australia, it'll probably be the 16th. Like this. You just pull up that chart. We're going to put 1900. And then we'll just put it where I live. So I'll just calculate that. And then you get the chart for the day. That's basically Friday's chart right here. Now you print that chart or you leave the tab open and then you go over here and then you put in your birthday. So I guess, all right, we'll just leave this as the full moon. And then for this one, we can put in Danny Inman and we'll put in my birthday for August 1974 at 1:30 in Pinehurst, North Carolina. Calculate. So there's my chart. Okay. So I'm going to, I take this chart and I take this chart and I put them together on this PowerPoint right here. My chart, the 15th chart. And then what I did is, since I can't really draw with PowerPoint and Restream, is I just put these icons over where the actual sky has them. So you see a Moon-Uranus conjunction in the early degrees of Taurus. So that's where I'm going to, oops, look at Uranus being silly. You can put Uranus and Moon right there. So, but your Taurus might be in the 6th house. Your Taurus on your natal chart might be in the 9th house. So that's why I'm having you guys make that distinction. And really, I want to make sure that you understand how to do this. You guys have Mars in Taurus. Well, yeah, if it's in the early degrees of Taurus, then you'll have the Moon and Uranus over that as well. So cool. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to explain that again, because this is really how you guys start doing this. You don't necessarily have to pay an astrologer $1,000 a month to do this for you. You can do this with the tools that are available without spending a whole lot of money. But what you'll find is that you'll get addicted to it, and then you will want to buy the software, and you will want to take the classes, and you'll want to learn how to do it. So cool, guys. Well, that's all I have to share with you. Thank you for sharing. Oh, Teresa said Uranus in Leo. Good. Natally. All right. Cool. Well, I'll see you guys on Saturday. We're going to talk about Mercury retrograde, how to work with that cycle. It's a little bit longer than the lunar cycles. And so if you can follow the Mercury thread, then you're going to find your life with a lot more ease during Mercury retrograde. So I'll try and convey that for you guys on Saturday. All right. Well, I'll let you go. I'll see you all soon. I love you guys. Take care.